I want to ask you a question. Do you know what I think you are? And I'm like, well, the highest paid people in the world, the smartest human beings in the world. He goes, you know what I think all of you are? Every single one of you is a sucker. And I'm like, what? A sucker? He goes, why would you want to be good at sales when you could learn how to become a person of influence?
Welcome to the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, this is Augustino. Developing personal skills of speaking and persuasion is absolutely critical to building a successful real estate business. Well, today's guest, he understands and has built his entire business around this central theme. During his own journey of self-discovery, he studied and modeled effective leaders recognized worldwide. And then since then, he has become an absolute pro at understanding the ways the human mind works and how you can use it to improve your own life and your own way of persuading others as well. So today he works with entrepreneurs and executives, teaching communication skills that allow you to be stronger mentally, emotionally, and physically. He is the president and founder of the Human Communication Institute, a global leader in the personal and professional development industry. With all that, I'd like to welcome my good friend, Michael Bernoff, to the show. Hey, Michael, thanks for coming on, man.
Augustino, thrilled to be here today. I'm excited. The world needs this conversation.
Dude, it's going to be awesome, man.
I'm excited.
Well, yeah, if you like what Michael has to say, you can reach him via his website at michaelbernoff.com. And if you like our content, please don't forget to leave a comment and rate the show. And then finally, if you text the word freedom to 202-410-4202, you'll get a free ebook, The Bulletproof Guide to Finding a Broker. Okay, Michael, tell the listeners about how you got started with all this and how you ended up building up this skill set around persuasion and marketing and sales.
It's an interesting story. And due to the fact that most people aren't really interested in all the backstory, I'm gonna give them the quick version. I was a lot like most people listening to this. I grew up in New Jersey and probably the most middle-class neighborhood possible. And one of the things that I recognized is I wanted nice things in my life. I was always motivated to want things, but for whatever reason, everyone around me was, I don't want to say average, but everybody around me was pretty much had about the same things. And I said to my mom and dad, I remember vividly, I was working at the Short Hills Mall in New Jersey as a valet. I said, how do people get cars like that? And my mom said, you know what, they're usually business owners and they work hard and they're good people. And that literally was my approach to business. I failed miserably because I realized hard work is not how you make it in business. It's a strategy, but it's not the strategy. And it wasn't until this is the fast version, went away to Arizona State, liked partying a lot more than I liked school. And my second year in college, I was invited nicely to not come back exactly, like, hey, take a break. So I went to junior college, and lo and behold, the teacher, never got into business school my whole life, even though I built a business that's done about $80 million in sales. One thing I've recognized is the teacher there said, do you want to read one of these books? And it was like The Wealth of Nations, there was The Gold Standard, and one was How to Win Friends and Influence People. That little book, a 19-year-old kid, single man, does that make sense? Sees a book like that. And literally, I don't even know if I read it, but I know one thing that happened that day is I realized you can learn yourself better. So that day changed everything for me. So all those feelings I ever had in my heart that I could be more and do more, I realized that you could learn through educating yourself into becoming more effective. And since then, it's been a massive obsession in my life.
Oh yeah. It's
fast version.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I grew up pretty much the same way. You know, it's
middle class.
Middle class, well, even lower than that. My parents are immigrants. So
okay, where are you from?
From Canada, from Windsor.
Okay,
we're
part Canadian too. Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. So it's the same sort of thing. You see all this money flying around, and you're wondering, how do I get a piece of that?
Where do I get it? Right.
How do I get it? Right. But yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's all in books, right? It's all first off believing that you can actually pull it off, and then now that you've figured that out, then you're able to apply it. But I think one of the things that came up when I was, when we were talking before, was your ability to apply human psychology, and maybe talk a little bit about that. Like, how'd you make the leap from?
That's a whole nother story. That's part two. Yeah. Yeah. So I struggled for years. I even tried all that influence stuff and all the old sales techniques and all that stuff. And
NLP, you tried the whole NLP thing?
Yeah. I'm one of the best in the world at neuro-linguistic programming. I'm probably one of the top 5 or 6 people on earth I invented something called human interaction technology. So I have my whole life been good with people, but I hid from it. And I think that's one of people's biggest issues is they hide from their greatness. So even in high school, like I would want to date this person, let's say, right? But the problem I'd have is I didn't believe in myself. So they'd call me and they'd be my friend and I'd answer questions, solve their boyfriend issues, blah, blah, blah. I was always helping people. I always loved to, but I wasn't accepting how great I could be. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong in real estate and stuff is we hold back instead of amplifying the part of ourselves. So the biggest thing about human psychology that I've learned is a lot of people think when we learn influence, there was a big day that changed my life. If you want, I'll tell you what it is afterwards. But when I finally understood that influence wasn't necessarily about how do I get you to do something, it was how to get me to show up as I need to show up so you will do something. That changed everything for me. That was like one day, one comment at an event, this guy that no one ever in the world listening to this ever would have heard of in a million years said something to me that just literally radically transformed my life in a minute.
Excellent.
And you probably want to know what that is.
Of course. I'm waiting for you to tell me. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's part of it, but I respect your show. I'm sitting there in a room of people. I'm one of these fake business owners. I'm 22, 23 years old. I'm in the front of the room acting like things are great. You have a good month. It's like a real estate agent that'll make 20 grand and then they multiply that times 12 and go, I make 240 a year. No, you don't. You made 20 grand last month. No, you don't. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm one of those guys. I act like I got it figured out. And the speaker comes out. He goes, how many of you are business owners? Stand up. And I stood up and I'm like all proud. I stood up. I'm business owner. He goes, great. How many of you know that you need to master and be great at sales? Raise your hand. I raised my hand. Whole room raised their hand. And he goes, awesome. I want to ask you a question. Do you know what I think you are? And I'm like, well, the highest paid people in the world, the smartest human beings in the world. He goes, you know what I think all of you are? Every single one of you is a sucker. And I'm like, what? A sucker? He goes, why would you want to be good at sales when you could learn how to become a person of influence? And when I heard those words, 3 seconds later, I got it. I was dead broke and I thought he meant influencing people. I didn't realize he meant how to influence your mindset, how to influence yourself to eat the things you want to eat, how to influence yourself to not get bothered, how to influence yourself to be a good parent, how to influence yourself to be aggressive when you need to, how to influence yourself to back off when you should. That word influence is not like what Robert Cialdini is talking about, how to influence people to buy. I'm talking about influencing your life to be what you want it to be. And all of us are in control of that if we're willing to accept it.
Yeah, and well, you know what though, and that's absolutely huge right there. I had a similar sort of thing where for much of my life, I'd say 15 years ago or so, it was all like, you kind of like most people, they go with the flow, right?
Yep.
They get up, they go to work, they go to a job they typically hate.
Yep.
They go work for a boss they don't like. The boss
Yep.
doesn't want to be there. And then they drag their ass back home, sit in front of the TV and watch Game of Thrones for a couple of hours with the beer. Yeah, of course. You got to have, yeah. And then they go back to bed and then repeat for 5 days a week and then wonder why their life is not so good, you know? And it's just like I said, they're not influencing their full potential.
Well, they're
right?
influencing what they do. And that's the interesting thing. Like when I wrote the book, Average Sucks, it was for a reason. A lot of people stopped me and they're like, oh dude, man, that's awesome. Like I got the shirt, Average Sucks. People stop me all the time. And they're like, oh dude, that's right, man. Be better than other people. I go, dude, you don't even know what it means. You're average. That's your problem. You will never be happy being your average. And what I mean by that is most people, especially in real estate, make about the same amount of money every year, no matter what the economy is. Makes no sense. We are obsessed with being our current identity, our average, instead of accepting that your current average is only a piece of what you're capable of being.
That's right. Well, it's easy to do, right? That's the thing. It's easy to settle as opposed to really push forward and try to think bigger. It's not as scary.
You've got a vested interest in your current reality. I mean, if I woke up tomorrow morning and said, you know what, I want to make more money, this is the part most people don't get. And this is the jaw drop for people. In order to have more money, I need to accept I don't have enough. Accepting I don't have enough is uncomfortable for people because you got to admit you screwed up. And nobody wants to admit they've screwed up. Like to have a better relationship, you need to admit yours isn't good enough. Nobody wants to, well, nobody's the wrong word. Many people don't want to look in the mirror and say, wait a second, I'm not where I want to be. And the second you look in the mirror and go, I'm not where I want to be, opportunity presents itself, insecurity shows up, but insecurity is the gateway to growth. It shows you what you need to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's much easier to just accept it and just deal as opposed to really put yourself in that uncomfortable position and demand more, right? Demand more for yourself. And yeah, absolutely. 100%, 100%. Now you've already touched on this before, as far as building that mindset is concerned, what I think is huge, right? Now it's funny because I did very similar things where I actually discovered human psychology as a way to learn how to influence myself understand why I make the choices that I make, but also help people with what they're doing in terms of, like, say, selling an investor on believing in them, or investing with them on a deal or whatever the case may be. In terms of that, now, how
I got a million techniques for that. I'd love to just rip off as many as we have for time.
I was just going to say, go ahead, man. That's what I was going to ask you. Go.
Well, give me scenarios. I work best in real life scenarios, because this is the problem I had with like the Tom Hopkins stuff back in the day. I got to give him credit because I took a Tom Hopkins course when I was like 19. It got me started, but I'm going to tell you, it's not scenario driven. I want to take real world scenarios and you tell me what you want, and I will deliver things no one has ever heard before.
Here's a scenario for you then.
Hit it.
I'll ask my coaching.
That sounded
students.
Real mafia. That sounded real Ohio.
I know. I was like, I know, right? I was like,
Canadian mafia.
This is for real right now. So many of my students, I'll say to them, okay, you need your goal is to raise $500,000 to get into this deal. Oh my God, I don't know anybody that has any money. That's the first thing they say, right? And I mean, usually I just say, pick up the phone, start calling, ask them. Start asking for those 3 questions, right? Meaning either say yes, either say no, or they say, I don't know, but let me find someone that does, or I know someone that does. What sort of things do you have in the case of, let's say they're cold calling and they cold call a friend of the family and they happen to have some, they're known to have wealth of some kind. Do you have any type of, any type of voodoo magic trick?
We're working. I got a bunch of things. So number one is you got to get your own head straight beforehand, because a lot of people don't realize that human beings are animals. I don't want to nicely explain it. We are animals. We run like animals. We are humans, but like we are a behavior that we feed off each other's energy, no different than a dog. Like a pit bull that sees a pregnant woman will sit up next to them and belly up to that woman. My friend has pit bulls and my wife was pregnant. That dog like won't let my wife by her side because the dog knows I'm here to protect. If you are scared, the dog will get scared. If you run, the dog runs. So your insecurity that you have inside of you, if you bring that into the conversation, you might as well not pick up the phone. So a couple things I'm going to tell you is about your own psychology to start with. Have you ever heard that statement before? You make up in numbers what you lack in skill. Like my mentor, Jim Rohn, used to say that. It was my mentor. You heard that before?
Oh yeah.
I think some of that is nonsense. And the reason I say that is I love Jim when he was alive. He was like a father figure to me, as a personal development figure. What I recognized is it isn't a numbers game. It's that you get better games. Every phone call we make, it's either you're going to make a call trying to make a sale, or you're going to make a phone call working on getting better. And that's one of the things we need to recognize. So first is we're not trying to make a sale. We need to get better at what we're doing. And we've just got to utilize these people to assist us. So first and foremost, we can't get attached to the scenario, because you're calling a person that possibly has wealth. This is like dating. If you're like, oh my God, this is the only one. And what if they don't like me? And what if I screw this up? You're a freak. I'm just going to tell you, you are weird. Like, just go watch Swingers, the movie. You're the dude calling the girl again. You're annoying. I'm just going to be really honest. We've got to stop that. So we got to get the right mindset going in. You know, I'm speaking the truth. And anyone listening to this going, damn, he's about my age. He's right. That's Vince Vaughn. Was the other guy stopping him saying, stop calling her, right? So when we call, you've got to understand human psychology, number one. Human psychology is when you've known someone a long time or you've never met them before, thing that the mind does every minute. You got my microphone? You still hear me clear?
I got you. Yeah.
There's a natural thing that they always say. So any minute of the day, if I run into you next week and I'm walking down the street and I see you when people are outside and I'd see you, even if you know me, even if you're married to the person, the natural thing you say is, who are you? When you wake up in the morning, you wake up out of bed, you turn over to the significant other, you go, who are you? That is the first sign of the brain. Your brain walks by a table. What are you? All the time. And then your brain goes into reference mode and goes, who are you? Last time I saw you, you were a table. How do I know? That's what we called it when we were 5. You know what I'm saying? I see you and I'm like, who are you? Augustino, how do I know that? Last time we got on a podcast, that's who you are. So you're either going to trust that the person is going to put you in their perspective, or you're going to create one of your own. So one of the things that I do is I like to help people think for me instead of them. Instead, I like to give them the thought instead of them generating the thought. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I get on stage and I say, hello, I'm Michael Bernoff. And I leave it there. What do you know? I'm a guy on stage that said, hi, I'm Michael Bernoff. But imagine this phrase, and the same thing with cold calling. Imagine I got on stage and said, so how do you talk about 20 years of business successes and failures in a matter of 30 minutes? Now, the presupposition you know about me, what do you know about me when I say that? Like if I say to you, I'm gonna say it again, how do you talk about 30 years or 20 years of business successes and failures in 30 minutes? What do you know about me?
Well, I've been in business for 20 years and you
Which
might
means
have
I'm probably what?
experienced.
Okay, very good. I didn't tell you that, you presuppose that. So you
Right.
put that in your head. So when you call somebody the first time, if you sound like the conversation you've always had, you have a pattern that they wind up going into. If you always talk to your Uncle Bill, well, you always talk to your Uncle Bill. You're the kid that lit your sister's hair on fire. That's how he knows you. So what you need to do is you've got to break the pattern. So one of the ways to break the pattern is you want to say hello and you want to ask something very, very different. And so let me ask you a question. So this is a person with wealth, correct?
Yeah.
You could say, and what are we looking to sell them?
Really, it's just opening up a door to possibly get them to invest with that person in the future. So it's not
What are we
they're not
asking
going to
them
be
to invest
investing
in? Give me the terminology that you're
like invest in a multifamily deal. Let's have them invest in a multifamily.
I would say,
deal.
Uncle Bruce, I have a question. How familiar are you with real estate investing? And how familiar are you with how much experience, this is a person that's made money, how much experience do you have in appropriate investing in multifamily homes? Now, when you ask that question, the dialogue shifts. If you have a confident person that succeeded before and they say to you, not much, you could say, okay, well, the reason I'm asking is I respect your opinion and I've come across something that doesn't exactly benefit me right away, but could be enormous to you. The reason I'm saying this is a person that has succeeded before typically sees themselves intelligent. They typically have some level of an ego. So if I were to say with you, Augustino, how familiar are you with double cashback real estate orientation?
No, I'm not. Never heard of it.
Are you familiar with how effective it's been in Europe?
No.
Now, what's interesting is you want to know what that means. I just made that up, but you'd want to know actually what that means.
Yeah.
You can't leave that conversation. So you're not wanting to talk about money. You're going to want to impress them with their opinion. That's one of the things I would do. So part of that is changing the scenario, understanding the psychology of a wealthy person. Like I tell everybody right now, if like during that whole Corona thing and everything going on in the world, most people, what do I know? How long have you been in your house? Like how long have you been like more like in your house recently than usual?
Oh God, that's what, 8 weeks straight now.
You got like, who lives with you?
Just my wife and I.
Okay. When you bought the house, were you planning on being in your house for 8 weeks?
Not straight. No. I mean, you know.
So there's shit you see about your house you don't love right now, correct?
Right. That's right.
So if I'm an agent, I'm gonna call people on the phone right now and I'm gonna say, let me ask you a question. When you bought your house, were you planning on living there for 8 weeks straight? And are there things that you've noticed about your house that you don't love?
Yeah. That's right.
Do you get where I'm going? So how do you get someone to buy a new house? You have to get them to not like their current situation.
That's right.
So I would say to somebody right now is, I just wanted to ask you, how comfortable are you with your current investment portfolio based on what's going on in the world today? I would ask a wealthy person that. You know what they're going to say?
They're never happy. Yeah.
What?
They're not happy. They're never happy. I mean, that's the thing. They want to build more wealth usually.
Yep. So how familiar are you with are you very familiar with diversification? So the reason I'm asking this question is we need to go into the right scenario and we also need to ask them in a way that plays to their ego so they ask for more information and they're interested. That's the big piece of the puzzle. So that's the 3-second version. Does that answer your question?
Love it. Love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Give me another scenario. I got a ton of this stuff.
Let's say that you're at okay, you get them down the line a little bit. They're in your funnel now. They're in your funnel.
Yep.
Okay. And you have a deal now that you want to pitch.
Yep.
And you know what? This deal is outside of their comfort zone, right?
Yep.
So maybe they've invested with you before, but you know what? This is a case where now you're going to get them to invest in, like, say, a triple net lease. So usually you do multifamily, but now they're going to invest in a triple net lease.
Yep.
All right. Never did it before. There's one scenario right there. Let's go with that.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Are they voicing that they're uncomfortable because they've never done it before?
They might have voiced it, but they also vote with their wallet, so to speak. So they just don't, they say, oh yeah, I'll check it out, but they never do. They don't log into your website to, put down any money or anything else like that.
Okay, very good. Now here's my question. Are you willing to, so let me teach you how to better a relationship. Most people do not succeed at sales because of one very simple term. I don't think you've ever heard this before, but most people haven't. They're not willing to what I call risk the relationship. And what I mean by that is goes back to your average. So we're pedaling along, you and me, and we're pedaling along, and hey, we're like flirting with the idea of kind of, sort of not wanting to hurt each other's feelings. In order to advance a relationship, which is required, like you and your wife, you have to advance your relationship. If not, shit goes out the window. Forgive me for cursing. I don't know if they curse in Ohio, but we curse in New Jersey where I'm from. But the point is, we have to be willing to advance the relationship. So what I'm a hockey player, right? You say you're Canadian, so I'm a hockey player. I've been playing my entire life. And right now, like, I can't play. I bought a building next to a rink. So in order to score a goal, you have to risk your current scenario. So what happens is we need to be able to stop beating around the bush and ask a difficult question. You could say something like, I just want to ask you, I know that I sent you an email in a portal last week. I want to make certain, did you receive the email? Yeah, I received it. Is there any reason why you have not entered into the portal yet? We have to be willing to hear things we don't want to hear so we could advance the relationship. If you want to say to your wife, listen, I love you, and is there anything that I could do better that I'm not doing? And if you're really willing to hear that, that offers the scenario. So part of the challenge most people have is a confidence issue. It's not a sales issue. It's confidence. And confidence is sales. So a confident person would say, not a salesperson, a confident person would say, look, Bill, I know you do well financially. This may or may not right for you, but we have no idea whether it's right for you if you don't open the portal. So I just wanted to know, do you have interest in opening the email? And if you do, when are you interested in opening that buy? I just want to ask because the last thing in the world I want to do is bother you. Here's a magic line. I am not going to pressure you, but I am going to push you. And the reason why is, and that's good lines, I'm not going to pressure you, but I am going to push you because I know this is something you would see a value. Do you see what I'm doing?
That's gold, man.
Yeah, and its reason it's gold is we have to be willing to say it. So if you're not willing to tell the waiter what they could do to make your food right and they deliver it wrong, you're the fool. So this is the part. That person is not doing the wrong thing. It's you are. So we think that like, oh, the buyer's the liar. They're not. It's us. We're lying. We're not telling them what we need. Also comes down to expectations. Let me help you real quick. So let's do this setup. So let's just say I meet you at a barbecue. We're back to barbecues again. I meet you, Augustino, I've got this property I'd like you to take a look at. Do you mind if I send you an email?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm going to send you it. I got your email. Can I ask you a question? When can you commit? Notice the C word. When can you commit to opening and looking at it? Because my system triggers me and lets me know. When can you commit to looking at it? Because I'd like to set up a follow-up call.
I would say maybe when I get home later on tonight.
Okay, great. So could we set up maybe tomorrow we get together at noon?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
If this is of interest to you, I'd love to chat and you could tell me one way or another. So if you can commit to doing that, I got a very busy day tomorrow. If you can commit to watching that first video or checking out the prospectus, that would be awesome.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
That is a radically different setup, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, it's three. You used the word commit 3 times. And now what I'm doing is I'm agreeing to it by saying yes, yes, yes. Just you asked me like 4 times to,
But I got you agreed to the system.
But yeah, that's right. That's right. So now in order for me to remain congruent, I have to open up that email and look at it. Cause I know you're going to call me because I've already committed to doing it.
Yep.
Beautiful. Love it.
I have a process that I've taught real estate investors for decades now that I used. And when I taught it the first time, my wife saw me teach it and she goes, wait a second, use that on me. And I did, not in a natural rapport way. Right. And it's a little something I call my 4-step process. So do people typically do deals like over the phone or Zoom or coffee table? Like that's how things happen, right?
Yeah.
Meeting face-to-face or over Zoom. So imagine I said to you, Augustino, how familiar are you with our ABC process? Are you familiar with our ABC process?
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
No. What's that?
It's a very simple 4-step process. If you have 30 seconds, I could tell you what it is.
Okay. All right. Well,
now that is after you admitted to hearing about it, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got 30 seconds. And if you want me to slow down, I can. The first step is in investing is I need to make certain we get along. And the reason is if we don't get along, there's money involved. If we don't have to like each other, but if we don't get along, it's an emotional thing. We have to get along. So if we get along, we can move to step 2. Can I tell you what step 2 is?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Step 2 is simple. Step 2 is I'm going to find out exactly what you're looking for. Step 3 is I'll show you what we have. And step 4, you could pick which one's best for you. So if you want to get started, we can chat for a couple of minutes and we'll see if this works.
Okay. All right. Let's roll then. Let's do it.
I just got you on my slide. You're now up the stairs at a water park. You have to go down now. You got 150 people behind you. You have to go down the slide now. So I can give that to everyone who's watching this little process that I did. But that process, by being able to say, I have a very simple 4-step process. If you have 30 seconds, I can explain it to you. The human mind wants to know. This is where the Corona thing's an issue. There is no end. Nobody knows currently at the recording right now when the heck this thing ends. There's no certainty. When you know, talk, learn, see, decide. That is not scary. But it's like a jack in the box. Do. Hey, when's he going to pitch me? When's he going to pitch me? Do. Hey, bye. It's scary for you and it's scary for them.
That's right. That's right. But no, people love certainty. And that's exactly right. If you say 4
give them
steps, here's
certainty.
step 1, 2. Yeah, it's beautiful. No, love it. Love it. Love it. Now, do you outline all this in the book, The Average Sucks book?
Yeah, the book doesn't cover this. The book, you can go to persuasionenhancement.com. That covers, give that for free to anybody. There's nothing to buy, nothing to do. There's the 4-step process. The book, Average Sucks, is literally how to eliminate that thing that we all have of how we get stuck being who we are. You know what the biggest reason people don't get good at sales?
Well,
they don't see themselves as good at it.
Yeah.
And if you don't change your identity of how you see you, the book will help you change. Did you ever play hockey?
No, I did.
You're Canadian?
Street hockey.
What part of Canada are you from?
Windsor, right across from Detroit. You don't even want to know.
I know where you're at. The Windsor.
Detroit.
What's that? I know where that is. They got a little whatever called team there, AHL or whatever, the Windsor Warriors or something.
Spitfires.
Spitfires, yeah. I remember there was something over there. And when I was a kid growing up, I talk about this in the book, I wanted to be good at goal scoring, but I didn't see myself as a goal scorer. So it wasn't until I was 39 years old, and I'm a decent player, I asked myself, why don't I score? And you know what? That wasn't my identity. And then I went out next shift. I asked myself a question. What do goal scorers do? They put the puck in the freaking net.
Yeah.
So you know what I do? I score an average of 3 to 4 goals every single game now, not because I'm older against worse people, because I changed my identity. Same with becoming a millionaire. Like I saw myself as a guy that had trouble making money for years. And because of that, that was my identity. So the book changes your identity so you can use all the skills I teach you.
Excellent. Excellent. So, and that's a big part of it. No, I agree 100%. I mean, for the longest time, I decided that I was a failure because the people I was working for, they told me I suck.
Yep.
You suck, pack up your stuff, put it in the box and get lost.
Who were those guys? Let's Facebook them and beat them up. I'm just kidding. You don't have to tell me.
I wish it were that easy. No, but hey, listen, you know what? Everything turned out remarkable anyway. I mean, yeah, I went through a long journey that really questioned my whole way of being. But now doing the real estate gig, when you're able to earn what you made in a year in one transaction, there's no reason why anybody should not be getting into real estate and doing it themselves. There's just no reason.
I'll tell you right now, it's such, I was sitting there in my, the fear is what slows people down. I was renting office space one day. It's 11 years into rent at one of those HQ Global buildings, right? 1,200 square feet. I paid $1.6 million for 1,600 square feet for 11 years. And then one day I'm like, why don't I look at renting a real building? And then I went in, the guy goes, why don't you buy this place? I'm in this gorgeous building. I bought what was a temple, a 7,000 square foot building. And it's an investment property of my own because I work out of it. SBA loan did the whole thing. And I rent it to myself. And long story short, you get it, right? Yeah. And why I'm bringing this up is my fear of not wanting to look at my financials, which were great, was an old school behavior that I had. The mortgage, owning this building with a $450,000 build out is cheaper than my rent on a 1,200 square foot building. This place is state of the art, 7,000 square feet in a better neighborhood. So I fear, which we all have, and this is why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to heal me. Now we're healing tens of thousands of people every single week. So that's part of it, man. I get it. I'm in it.
Yeah. But I think a big part of it though too is helping them build that confidence through knowledge, right? It's all through knowledge is what it is.
It's through accepting the reality of who you are and accepting the fact that you don't know everything. Yeah. Being able to be wrong is the key to knowledge, like accepting that there are things you don't know. Because if you know it all, you've already maxed out your capacity.
That's
Being
right.
able to say there are things I don't know is the secret.
100%.
And I'm not that
100%.
great at it. I'm good at it.
Yeah. Oh, there's that. I'm not a good writer, so I can't write. So we're just going to leave that at that, right? I mean, things like that, where you're convincing yourself that you can't do something, and
8 years it took me to
practicing.
get my book done. I got my 10,000 hour rule done by 27 years old in speaking, right? I was
Right.
young. I've spoke 2,000 times probably to stages as big as 25,000 people. And I couldn't get a book done. You want to know why? My 9-year-old self was trying to write the book. The kid was trying to prove a point. The kid with ADD in 1980, whatever, was trying to write the book. And then I realized, wait a second, my wife can help me. Why don't I ask for help? I already got the ideas. Maybe she can help me organize some of this stuff, but I was scared to ask for help because I wanted to do it myself. So our need to be right, our need to do it our way is the greatest way to fail. And then
Yeah.
literally I had the book done 6 weeks later.
Well, you know what, Michael, that's the thing though, is that what I would do is I felt like I had to do everything myself as
Yep.
well. That was probably one of my biggest downfalls, is that coaching, are you kidding me? Why would I pay for that? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. A mentorship? You must be a weakling. I mean, that's the stuff that went through my mind was, oh, mentor. Yeah. Okay. Sure. That is maybe, I don't know. Maybe I just kept on hearing it and I thought it was all a bunch of nonsense, but in reality, maybe I kept on hearing it because that's what I really needed to hear, but I just didn't take any action. My life would have been completely different if I would have got a coach, got a mentor. Even if I would have paid for it, would have been so different.
That's what happens. And the reason is our identity, that's your old identity was, I will figure it out myself. And it's better if I do it myself. So that's part of, I wrote the book for average class people, average middle class people, lower, middle, and upper. I wrote it for us. I wrote it for children of the 80s that want to prove a point. Do you know what I'm saying? 70s, 80s, and 90s, people that grew up in this thing. And like, my identity was, it is better if I work hard, and it is better if I do it myself. And you know what? My wife and I, this is a breakthrough for everybody listening, is my wife and I used to say, like, why is nobody helping us? Why is nobody giving us leads? Why is nobody getting us things? And then I realized we're unsupportable. In order to get supported, you need to be supportable, which means if you act like you've got it figured out, nobody helps you. You don't want to be a pain in the neck either and be a whiner, but it's okay to say, you know what, Augustino? There's some things I'm challenged with right now. Could I ask you advice? What are you doing on podcast? Or I don't know much about multi-unit properties. Like, I understand single unit. Like, I don't know. Could you help me? And being willing to ask is a gateway to freedom.
100%. And sometimes you can even ask, even if you already know the answer.
Yeah, you get a different answer.
Right. You got a different answer. Exactly. Maybe you have a different answer, but it doesn't hurt to ask a pro and then open up a discussion with them too. I mean, that's a beautiful way to do that. How do you see the next 5 years working out for your business?
The next 5 years, during this whole Corona thing, I woke up. And what I mean by woke up is I got soft. I'm going to tell you, I got real stuck in a really good way of life. Like, I realized I was living a comfortable life. We were doing well. We were doing what, when I was 23, when I went into business, would have been a dream life. The problem is it wasn't my full capacity. And I got stuck. And you're laughing right now, looking at me. You're doing the same damn thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the next 5 years, I'm going to spend the next 5 years figuring out all that I'm capable of doing. And I remember years ago, a guy tapped me. He goes, "How tall are you?" And I go, "I'm 6'6". He goes, "Why don't you start acting like it?" He goes, "You're playing 5'10". And I thought about that statement and I said, wow, how many people are living the world a piece of themselves? So I'm going to spend the next 5 years of my life seeing what I'm truly capable of and pushing myself in ways that I never have before. When it comes to business, I'm going to get even more concerned in who I let in my ear. I'm going to get even more, get an opportunity to peek out and notice what I'm capable of. But I'm also recognizing that I'm going to start looking even more like, what do I really want today? What do I really want this week and this month? That has been the greatest gift that I've realized recently, that I feel most human beings are living off a 10-year-old plan instead of asking themselves, what do I want today? So the next 5 years are really to have a full realization of who Michael Bernoff is. So when I wind up at the end of my life, I got my tombstone picked out, it says all used up, nothing left, did it all. I want to be able to say I did that. So that's my shtick. That's my thing, is to get to that point.
All right, guys, listen, if you guys want to reach out to Michael, and I think you should, you can reach him via his website, his company website at michaelbernoff.com. I hope you guys got a lot of great insight on really developing the influence for your mind.
Yep.
And really noticing how important what you say to yourself is absolutely key to building success. 100%. Right?
It's everything.
It's everything. Absolutely. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast.